Je clique là.
Good evening, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords, and welcome to the Star Wars Artifacts show. I am Dominic, and here is my co host, Eric. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing all right. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Great. What an episode, huh?
Yeah. That was it was one that we were waiting for, and it did not disappoint
Yeah,
on a lot of different levels. Whether it be the action, the acting, just everything about it, and just closing that arc was quite the venture there.
yeah, absolutely. So, before we begin breaking down the episode, for those who are joining us for the very first time, we cover all Star Wars show, whether it's from the Disney Plus channel or future movies. We cover also the latest news released by Lucasfilm or the Star Wars channel as well. So that's about uh, that's what you'll get if you listen to us. And I don't know if you noticed, Eric, but I have a couple of friends next to my shoulders.
Yeah, you always have something new behind you, but those are
Yeah,
quite the pieces there. So
I try to improve the collection
yeah.
whenever I get the opportunity. Uh, but my credit card is telling me to slow down a bit. So, and with Christmas around the corner,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I'm gonna lift the foot from the gas pedal for a while for sure. But I got two gentle giant half scale busts. One is from Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back. And what I like about the Gentle Giant's bust is that the little pedestal that are beneath each bust is personalized to go with the character. So for Yoda, it's his little hut that he has on Dagobah,
Hmm.
and for Boba Fett, which is the version from the book of Boba Fett, the pedestal is like the his throne
The throne, yeah.
that he has
Hmm.
on that used to be Jabba's throne. But so we see the head of I think it's a Rancor head uh, in the middle, and there's some Huttese language written on
Hmm.
at the bottom of the pedestal. So each piece is limited to 1,000 copies.
Jeez.
And well, obviously, for those who have subscribed to the channel, they will be the object of some future reviews. So
I thought you were
if
gonna say
you're in,
draw.
I wish,
Yeah,
I wish I had the money to make such
yeah.
giveaways, but I
Well,
still have to earn my first penny from
that's a good
my
segue into the like and subscribe. We are, what is it, 52 subscribers
52
away?
stubborn shies of reaching the 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
So that's a huge milestone when you have a YouTube channel. So hopefully, the goal is to get there by New Year's Eve. So if you want to make me the best holiday present you could give me, well, it's simple, it's free. You hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and maybe some likes at the bottom of the videos, and there you go. You're gonna make me a very happy man.
And I'm sure
That's
at a
for sure.
thousand subscribers between the two of us and our collection is yours being much more vast, but we can find something to give away. Big, small,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So,
I'll think of something maybe to give away when we reach the 1,000 mark. It would
good.
be could be fun. Yeah.
So is that all you got now? Is that in the upcoming reviews, your Boba Fett and Yoda, or is it?
I also received the Loda animatronic version, so I'll cover that eventually as well. So
I'm
I'm not
curious
sure
about that one because I've seen it at Toys R Us. I saw the first version that came out, the less expensive one, and then I saw this one, and plus it was on
yeah.
special. But Just like you, I'm penny pinching a little bit with my trip to Disney coming up in January. So after that, we'll see what happens if I'm going to
Well,
expand the collection.
you have a good motivation to be reasonable. I
Yep,
mean,
yep. Can't complain. Looking forward to it. It's getting I think on the 24th. I'm starting to reserve all my restaurants and all that stuff. So it's
oh yeah, make
yeah,
sure to get
gets closer.
reservation for Oga's Cantina.
Yeah, and the lightsaber building and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be
it's getting
fun.
close. So just before we move along, just remember that if you haven't seen the episode, there's major spoilers coming up. So if you haven't seen it, uh,
Yeah,
maybe pause this, go watch the episode, and come back, or else, especially this episode, you don't want any spoilers.
no, for sure.
So you ready to go?
Yes, let's do this.
All right. So this one was called One Way Out. Um, resonates further into the episode that comment, and I would say most of the titles always come back multiple times in the episode, but this one especially was a key message. I also noticed though in the intro before I start is that the music changed again, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back one day and I'm gonna check to see because it was back to the original song that they had, I think. So I'm trying to pick up what pattern they're using for the intro music. I mean, obviously the last one was more of that kind of spacey sound or whatever, like the kind of like THX Blade Runner kind of theme electronic. But like I'm trying to pick up like what are they doing, and then is it every end of the story arc to announce like they're going back to the music? Anyway, I'm obsessing a bit too much with the music with this series, but I absolutely love it. So
Well, for a good reason. I mean, it's really good.
yeah, it's very different than anything that they've done. We've mentioned it before, so I'm a big fan of it. So I wouldn't mind if they take out like a soundtrack or something like that. So
Well, apparently you can listen to the whole soundtrack on Spotify
oh really?
for the entire episode that have been released so far. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna
So,
have to check that for sure.
mhm.
So this one we're on Narkina 5. It's moments after the previous episodes. So Olaf is being carried away on a trolley. Cassian and Kino start planning their escape for the next day. Oops, sorry about that. I'm gonna get the slideshow going. There we go. So they're planning their escape for the next day. I think Kino still has a little bit of hesitation. It's you could feel he's not as up and running as Cashin, but Cashin is saying that it has to be that day. It's their opportunity. I think mentioning that catching them by surprise because of what's been going on. Right? I don't know if you.
Well, the plan works only where when there's a new inmate coming to join the room,
Yeah.
because they have to lower the bridge
Yeah.
on which they carry the new prisoner. So that's the only time they do it, when they bring a new inmate. So since Olaf has passed, well, it's obvious that they're going to replace that inmate with a new one. So
And it was also
tomorrow, maybe the
something
next day
by
will be the day.
yeah, it was something by catching them by surprise as well. Um, I think I forget what it was that they were mentioning, but it was something along those lines. It had to be done then, or else they had time to kind of like regroup or something. But I mean, there was multiple aspects to make this plan work. The fact that they were low on staff and whatnot. So at first, Kino's afraid, and it's totally understandable. I mean, he's been there for so long. I guess he's probably got some anxiety about just maybe leaving there. I guess you grow comfortable in your misery, I guess, at one point. For him, I mean, killing all those men on level 2 was a demonstration of power. Whereas I think Cassian sees it more as fear or whatnot. I don't remember what he had said again, but it was obviously they disagree on multiple points. But I mean, again, Cassian is very adamant that it needs to be done that next day. Oh,
Mhm.
a sign of panic, sorry, is what it was. So the men start arguing, and Kino says that they need a plan, but Cashin says they have one, but it only works when they bring in the new man, as you mentioned. So
Mhm.
they'll have to escape the next day when they bring in Olaf's replacements.
So when they reach their detention block, they both break the news about Olaf, because everybody was worried about him. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good news. But everyone is even more shocked, not by the floor, but by the news that no one is leaving that place. So uh, they at first there's like some disbelief. A lot of inmates seem to be skeptical, but when Kino confirms it, maybe he has the credibility. He's been there for a while, so if he says it, I guess that it's makes it even more official. So they decide to take the night to think about their escape plan, and they I noticed that for the first time, Cassian has trouble sleeping. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the episode in our stream, but that means something in my opinion. So so
Yeah.
that's a good shot of Kino. Just moments before he says, he confirms that no one is leaving the prison. So uh,
It was
it's
very important for him to acknowledge what Caston was saying. I mean, as someone who's still new, they don't have the, I guess, the confidence that they had for someone who was so gung ho with the program and just going
yeah,
along with it to finally turn his back on the whole thing and admit that they're not going anywhere was huge. It was a big turning point for that for the plan
yeah,
to move ahead, right? So
absolutely, yeah. So meanwhile, at the ISB, we learned that Anto Krieger and his men have taken the bait that in the order trap they have set the previous episode, and supervisor Lonnie John suggests they investigate the ship as they would normally do to avoid the suspicion. So Pentegas agrees, and he says that it's exactly what they will do. So
but
we
Deidre,
don't see much of Deidre in this episode. I think it's the
no.
only shot we see her. So
But even after, like, she seemed to have a little bit of suspicion, or I don't know if again, I at first I thought it was like, well, someone kind of like overstepping their boundaries and trying to show themselves better than her or whatnot, like, or was she suspicious of what he said, right? So at first I wasn't sure what was going on there. I guess later in the episode, maybe it makes sense and shows what direction we're going, but
mhm.
uh, when he made his suggestion to Pendergast, it was weird her reaction again. Like when her assistant had kind of like maybe overstepped his boundaries with his kind of like comments. So
Yeah,
uh,
and I thought that the camera stayed on Young like half a fraction of second too long to what would have been the normal.
yeah.
They zoomed in a little bit on him, so I was, oh, are they trying to draw our attention on the guy? So yeah, it
So
was.
what's funny now is like after watching it, and we'll find out later. I'm gonna want to go back and see the episodes and pay attention to him a little bit more, right? So,
Mhm.
but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So the next day on Arcana 5, I mean, we see Cassian couldn't sleep, which is something that you mentioned. And he still has 2,155 days left to serve. We see it switch on the clock.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about his sleeping now and
Well, the thing is, before the robbery on Aldani, Nemec and him had an interesting discussion, and Nemec told Andor that he had trouble sleeping, and he looked at Cassian and he was sleeping like a rock because he didn't believe in anything.
hmm,
But Cassian is slowly changing, he's evolving, and that time Cassian was nervous, and he starts to believe in some sort of a cause or some he's growing up as a human being, and uh, it's it's not only he's not only fighting alone.
yeah,
Now he's fighting with some friends.
and you see that a
And
little bit further, I think, where it's like you said, he's fighting for a cause. He's not just out to save his own skin, right? So
Yeah, yeah, he's not in me, myself, and I
yeah,
mode anymore. So
yeah,
he he cares for his fellow inmates, and is he's becoming closer and closer to Kino and Melshi, and I guess he's nervous for his friends. So
yeah. Then before they leave, Kino gives a little speech to his men and begins the day as if everything was normal. So, I mean, we quickly after that jumped on Ferrex, where only to see that Marva doesn't want to take her pills anymore. People that care about her bring in a doctor to check on her. We don't even see her. It's just a very quick scene. I guess they're just trying to like set something else, set something up for probably the next episode, so we're not
mhm,
caught off by by surprise. We
yeah,
see Cinta's watching from a distance, and so does looks like there's an Imperial spy as well. Which I mean, they had mentioned I think in the previous episode that they're gonna have eyes on
true.
there, right? So that was
So
no surprise.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he reports directly to Deidre or the ISB in general. So
Yeah,
meanwhile, this is a segment that I had completely forgot from last week's episode. Uh, I was so pumped to see the prison break that I completely forgot that Ma was supposed to receive the visit of Davos Calden. So I was glad to see that Take was also there to support Mon. Well, obviously he's the one who arranged the meeting, so it kind of fitted that he was there. And right from the get go, we see that Martma is all business, and she visibly wants to get this over with pretty quickly. And Scotland seems like it doesn't seem like the tug that described him last episode.
yeah, but
The
he's
guy is,
rich, right? I thought the same thing. I was
yeah,
expecting to be some sleazebag, but obviously he's got money, right? So the thing is, I guess this is what you get when you're a sleazeball, but like got all the money in the world or whatnot. So
and yeah, it's the Don Corleone
yeah,
from Star Wars.
yeah,
So, um, surprisingly, he tells Mon that he doesn't want any percentage or will not ask some sort of a fee to launder money for Matma, but he asks if she can arrange a meeting between her daughter and his son. They're about the same age. One is 14, the other is 13. So, uh, and he kind of hints that he wants them to follow the Chandulan tradition, and maybe they will form like a bond or even fall in love in the process. So,
yeah. I mean, it wasn't. He didn't want to do like an arranged marriage or anything, but he like just the meeting for maybe he knows something about his son is super charming, and he's got some obviously some ulterior motive behind all this. So
yeah, because one sentence I liked from him is like, I'm always looking for what is around the corner, the next
yeah,
corner. So you know, he must be like a pretty good chess player, always thinking one or two shots in advance. So
yeah.
uh, obviously, Mon rejects that idea pretty quickly and asks if they can escort Mr. Skulden out. Well, then he says that obviously she deserved the time to think about it, and well, she answers back pretty quickly that there's nothing to
Yeah, it's because I'm
think
not.
about.
Yeah.
She and he must be pretty used to dealing with people because he immediately replies that it's the first time that she lied to him. So
Yeah, that was a good line though. He goes, "I'll give you time to think about it." She goes, I won't, or I'm not." And he goes, "Well, that's the
yeah,
first time that you haven't spoken the truth." And it was like so quick. It was very,
wow,
very clever and witty. I like that scene. So obviously, she's got something much bigger ahead of her and a much bigger cause, and she's
yeah,
got
and I think that she won't even have a choice because Perhaps that in the following episode, she'll learn that the ISB has begun scrutinizing her bank accounts,
Yeah.
and she'll have to turn to him and arrange that meeting with her daughter and his son. So
Yeah. I think it's inevitable. I mean, her daughter seems like she was casted for a much bigger role than what we've seen her so far,
yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised. So.
Hmm.
So back at we're at Luthen's antique store, and Clea tells him that there was a mark on the fountain, which means someone wants to meet him. They both seem to know who it might be, and Clea is afraid that this could be a trap. Luthen decides to go nonetheless. At the prison, oops, sorry about that. At the prison now, we're getting closer and closer to the point of no return. Cassian returns to the bathroom and finishes to saw that pipe, which he began in the previous episodes. There's a big water leak, and then all hell breaks loose. So, I mean, we're not gonna go scene by scene, detail by detail into what happened. I mean, you have to experience it and see it for yourself. But I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
because it's
couple
a
of key
16
moments.
minute,
Yeah,
very intense scene. It's
yeah. We're not gonna
they
break down an action scene like or a whole action sequence, but
yeah
it was definitely worth the wait. It was pretty clever. I mean, some of the stuff that happened with the water. I was wondering what the whole point of the water thing was. And
when you realize that it's for like
to short
to create
the
a
electricity or.
yeah create a power outage.
But you know what I was wondering, and I'm digressing for a little bit. At the beginning, when they put uh, his name is dropping me, Olaf in the bag,
Hmm.
and they use a zipper to close it. Is that the first time we've ever seen a zipper?
Whoa, you might have got something that
I
I
mean, that's a technology that that was developed here. I
doesn't
mean,
exist
yeah.
in Star Wars. Yeah.
So when I first saw that, I was like, and there's a lot of that kind of
Ooh.
stuff I find in this series where it's a lot more. I don't want to say relatable, but it's a lot more, I guess, planet Earth traditional. But like a zipper, I'm like, wow, that's weird. I would Velcro or something
Yeah.
like a type of attachment that you'll never see. There's Velcro will never make the noise. I've never seen any of their suits tied up or zipped up. The boots are very subtle. You can't
Yeah.
really tell. Even
Buttons for the shirts,
exactly.
and
So it's just I don't know. It was the first time that like when I saw it right off the bat, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, is that the first time there's a zipper in this? Like you heard the noise and everything. I'm like, oh, that's a we're nitpicking, but like for someone in a galaxy far far away to this a long time ago in a galaxy far far away had the zipper had already been invented, right? So we've seen those
hmm
little things with the screws, right, and the lightsabers and like the little jokes, but that one I don't know, it struck me a little bit weird when I saw that. So
you're absolutely right. And you've been a member of the 501st for a long time. And I guess if it's one of the first rule that you learn when you begin making a costume, that there's no zippers in Star Wars normally.
well, you hide a lot of this stuff. I mean, like the flight suit and everything like that. You can't really see the zippers. The Velcro is what it is. I mean, for me, in my case, the Scout Trooper, it's hidden in the glove, so you don't see them. And I mean, I have Velcro and stuff like that to hold some pieces in places and whatnot. But like, yeah, you try to keep that magic alive. And I know sometimes even myself when I'm sure I'll have something sticking out, but when I see someone else and having a traditional kind of thing where someone can look, oh look, it's just a strap or it's just this. I find it kind of breaks the magic of it. I don't know what I thought it was when it was a stormtrooper when I was a kid. What
Yeah.
was holding all the armor in place, but to see that now is a little bit different. But anyway, completely digressing off the subject. Back to this. I mean, all hell did break loose. We saw that the water eventually led to a shorting of the floor, so that they didn't have to worry about. Well, I mean, they had jumped on the table, and then they were able to go back and start the full blown
Yeah.
takeover of the prison.
And
Um,
we saw what they had to do with the lift, when they brought the new prisoner and they jammed it like with a tool, and they were able to stop the lift halfway, so it was possible to climb on like like steps, like Donkey Kong. I guess
Yeah,
you climb on the first level and then you climb on the second level.
yeah. If not, it would have been
Uh,
either too low or too high, one of the two, right? So
I cannot imagine the surprise of the new guy who was arriving.
yeah, okay. Hey, I didn't
Uh,
even think about that, right? Like, I have to go back to see if you got smoked, that guy, because
oh yeah, he gets smoked pretty
oh yeah,
quickly.
oh yeah,
He gets electrocuted by the electro staff of the guard first, and
okay.
then he manages to get up on his feet. He electrocutes the guard, but one of the two gunners on the top level,
Oh
one of
yeah.
them
That's
shoots him.
true. You're
So
right. Yeah, you're right. It happened so fast. So much was going on. So I mean, I've only got to see it once, but I'm gonna go back and. I mean, we've only got two episodes left. I'm gonna definitely rewatch the whole series when this is done, especially with all the
for
insight.
sure. Like one night we watch the first arc, the next night you watch the second arc. It's gonna be a lot of fun to rewatch all those episodes for sure.
So then we had took over with the cast and took over the like I guess the control center at this point, which was obviously part of the plan as well to shut down everything and release I guess all the prisoners and make sure that the floors and all that stuff were not going to get well, no one is going to get electrocuted or hurt.
Hmm.
So and then he jumps on the microphone and what could only be described as I don't know if it's gonna be an Emmy or I mean obviously not an Oscar, but like his performance at this point, his speech, everything he gave me. So I know Cashin asked him to say something. It was very brief at first, and he said something. Is that all you got, or is all you can say? Is like, and then
Yeah, because at the beginning, Kino seems on autopilot.
yeah,
He's doing all the thing. Maybe it's the adrenaline or something else, but he's reacting. And then when he gets to that microphone, he has to be inspirational.
yeah,
So he has to get a grip and refocus, and then he begins to speak. And well, as you said, what a speech!
yeah.
I imagined myself as an inmate, and I asked myself, how motivated I would have been after listening to this, and the answer is
Yeah,
I would have been pretty pumped, So,
quite the
uh,
uprising. So I mean, again, like you said, I mean, this had been such a it was 16 minutes of just like full blown nonstop. It was funny as I was putting the slides together. I usually try to skip and go through a scene until I see like a change, and it was a good part of that. And first of all, the episode I think was only 46 minutes, which was a little bit shorter than
yeah,
the average. But yeah, I mean, I'd say a third of that was this whole scene here, which was again well worth the wait. So they eventually obviously make their way out, and they end up on top of on top of like I guess like the edge of the building or whatever. I mean, they had to turn off the
yeah.
power and all that stuff, and but
And
like
the previous scene with the speech, it makes us love Kino so much. If you had your doubts on Kino, all those doubts go away when you hear him speak, and you realize that how great a guy he is, and
but
then
it's
you get to this. I'll let you go on with what you had to say, but I mean, whoa,
but the thing that what came up I think a couple times is like they're dead anyway, right? Is what they had kind of
yeah,
accepted at this point is they were gonna die there anyway, and they were just all dead, and that's what was portrayed, I guess. Like, and the message that was sent out was that we're all gonna die here.
you die working or you
Yeah,
die escaping.
yeah. You want to die on on your terms or on theirs, right? So,
Yeah.
at this point, they're all jumping off the edge of this thing to swim away, and he obviously doesn't want to, because we find out that he can't swim. So all of a sudden, the fear of death is actually probably real. Is it because he sees that there's freedom? But like it was tough, man, to watch the whole thing come
Absolutely.
down. So, but yeah, eventually, as you can see here, they'll
I'm sure that if Cassian would have been able to get to him, they would have jumped together.
yeah,
But he gets
yeah, it gets kind of like
hit
pushed and
by somebody and he's pushed down.
look like
And
some lemmings. You know those old lemmings things that when they're on the edge of the cliff and they all start falling off,
yeah,
or like that scene from 300, right? They all start falling off the edge of the cliff. So it was like
true.
But yeah, so they all start swimming away. I don't remember how far it pans out, but I remember thinking, I wonder how far away they are from land to
Not far because we see in the horizon that there's land. So
Okay. I'm thinking
can you go
about
back to the picture
Alcatraz or
you had before?
yeah.
And the one before that as well. Yeah, we see land
Hmm.
over there.
That's a hell of a swim though.
Yeah.
Like
It's
you're
not a
thinking
short
about
ride, but
Alcatraz and stuff, but yeah,
yeah,
I mean at this point, I mean not gonna nitpick. I mean, we all know that like the what is the sink or swim or the 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 will to live. Like
yeah.
it just kicks in at this point. The adrenaline. So who knows what someone's capable of when their life is on the line, right? So
Hopefully there was not too many, I don't know, space sharks in that ocean, and
yeah,
most of them made it to the land because could have been a tough swim.
but I mean
And we can see that they swim in all direction. When that shot pans out, we see that some are going southwest, those one are going northeast, and I think there's another group going northwest as well. So
all I could think of is when they're all jumping. I'm like, how are they not landing on each other? Because so many people were falling at
yeah,
once. But I was like, hey, at this point, who cares? You just want to get the hell out of there, right? So
and it reminded me again the Face Off movie with Nicolas Cage when
yeah,
he jumps off the petroleum rig
yeah.
platform, and he swims back to I think it's LA on the other side. So
San Francisco.
uh,
Yeah, I forget which
I'm
one.
not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Anyway, somewhere in California.
yeah.
You guys let us know in the comment section.
If you remember the movie Face Off, so
Yeah. So before I go on with the breakdown, I just want to say hi to people who are on the chat. James Smarts, who, by the way, mentions that a fixed marriage between Ma's daughter and Skalden's son would bring him, would make him more legit.
yeah, less scumbaggy, I guess.
Yeah,
Get
less
rid of
scumbaggy for sure.
his reputation, and like you said, like he fell into some money or whatever happened. Now he's part of that high society, definitely.
And Relevance Studio, our friend Steve Racine, who is asking us if we think that the character of Kino could end up being eventually Snoke. I joked to another friend yesterday about that, and I said, "Well, he stayed on in the prison. They'll torture him. He'll die, and they'll take his DNA and use him to make a clone, which will turn out to be Snoke." But I
Like
don't think there's a link between
no,
those two, to be
I wouldn't
honest.
think so. Had he died and got like some crazy gash in his head, like Snoke, then I would have been like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, here we go, right? But like, I think it's just, they wanted to, give him,
To allow us to see, Andy Serkis's
yeah,
face.
yeah, exactly. Give him. I mean, poor guy. I mean, he's doing motion capture all the time, right? But I mean, right,
Yeah.
that especially the scene we just spoke about when he gave that speech. I mean, he's a terrific actor. So I'm glad they put him. I think leaving him behind means that there's no immediate plan for him to be with the rebels, but it leaves the door open to see him again, right? So
Mm-hmm. So James Mark adds in the chat, funny how only Cassian and his friend makes it to the shore, but seriously, nobody find them.
yeah,
So, well, we
I'm.
don't know about the other escapees, but I'm sure that there was.
Well, it's like you said, they all went in
Uh,
different directions, right? So maybe the other ones all. I mean, I'm sure some of them passed, like they all died and drowned or whatever. I mean, there's no way, right?
yeah. They
But I
did not
mean,
make it, but I'm sure that there's not only those two who made it to the shore, but
credit to them for
you know,
finding themselves or finding each other in the water or however
and,
they kind of reunited, right? So
yeah, and it's good for them to not stick together because it makes it even harder for the Empire to
Yeah,
find them afterwards. So
yeah,
small groups is a better option. So, anyways, back to the breakdown. On the Coruscant, we see Supervisor Lonnie Young walking in the lower levels of the city, and it took me like a little moment, to realize that it was actually Young because he's not dressed as an ISB officer.
yeah,
He's dressed as a civilian, and he reaches an elevator, presses a few buttons, and then he look with his hand to grab some sort of a communication device, uh, puts it on his ear, and surprise, surprise, we hear the voice of our good old friend Luthen, who talks with him a little bit. Young tells him about Dedra Miro and the fact that she wants to link the incident on Ferrex and the robbery on Aldani to Cassian, and some sort of a middleman they've called Axis, so which is him. But Luton denies being involved in all those situations. He said, "Well, we were invited to take part in this robbery, but we declined. It was too much based on luck, and we don't do luck.
yeah,
I thought it was pretty clever for him to say that and to avoid looking suspicious or involved in that robbery. So
yeah,
it was it was great. And he also mentions that they are working on some sort of a plan to like arrest or even kill Anto Krieger that we heard about in the previous episodes, and his men. So he thought Young thought that those information would have been useful to Luton, but Luton says that he wants to stay pat and get those eventually those men killed, because if they act on that information, they will know that there's a mole in the
yeah,
ISB, and anybody could be a suspect, and they could even discover that Young is the actual mole. So he tells him that he he's worth sacrificing Krieger and 50 of his men. So
yeah. That's tough for me. It shows the ruthlessness of Luthen as well, right? So it's
yeah, and if you look at that particular picture you're showing on the screen, I mean, Luton almost looks like a bad guy
yeah,
with his cape and in the dark, and it reminds me of Kylo Ren on that bridge when he speaks to Solo, or maybe even Darth Vader at the end of the Rogue One movie when he tries to catch up with the 10-4 before they escape with the Death Star plan. So
we'll keep that thought what you just said about Kylo Ren and Solo because I'll come back to that.
okay.
But just to wrap up the scene here is you got Luthen, since there's more to the meeting. When asked about it, Young answers that he wants out. The arrival of his daughter gave him a new perspective on life. And I think even Luthen mentions his daughter before he does, right? Kind of showing
Mm-hmm.
him that, like, basically you gotta
Well,
stay in
it's
line
been a
here.
year since we spoke, and
Yeah,
I'm still keeping tabs with what's going on with
yeah.
you.
So I mean, he Luthen declines his request to get out, saying that he's invested in him for 6 years, then he's become too much of an asset to simply let him go. Luthen mentions the sacrifice that he's done and asks Luthen about his sacrifices, basic questioning, basically, like what have you put on the table? We're the ones making all the sacrifices, and it that was quite a speech after that by Luthen. We're talking about like speeches and
Yeah.
Oscar moments or whatever. I mean, obviously not an Oscar, but like it triggered him and he engaged him about all the sacrifice that he made to get him where he is, and his
I
speech
have to
again.
share my dreams with ghosts and stuff like that. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm setting a fire for a sunrise that we'll never see, something like that. I mean, whoa, that was epic. I mean,
Yeah, it was quite. I mean, those we got blessed with two good scenes like that, and you know, despite the fact it was probably one of you know the action pack that we were expecting from the jailbreak, the you know
yeah,
the script that it was very well written, and the acting was definitely on par with it. So um, basically the whole episode ends with we see Andor and Melky having reached the shore and running for safety. And as James said, I mean, no one followed them. I mean, could it be possibly, like you said, you know, they want to, you know, get off on their own over there and you know, all the different directions. We saw those swimmers and whatnot. So, and then we could just simplify and just say, well, you know, it's not part of the upcoming episodes, and you don't want to pay that whole all the other actors from the jail. And but I mean, those are the two that we knew were gonna make it out. I think there was a lot less death than we were anticipating in
yeah.
the last show that we spoke about. But I mean, that episode was you know epic in my opinion.
Well,
So
the prison guards were obviously outnumbered. We saw them like all cramped in a little room near the end, and they're terrified
yeah,
because
it was funny to see the whatever 6 or 7 they're like just crammed behind that door and just like you know cowering and have wanted nothing to do with it. So it was
yeah, and it felt pretty realistic in my
yeah
opinion because uh, after that, I imagined like a true riot in a true prison, and how the guards must feel when they sense that they're losing control
yeah
of the jail. It must be pretty terrifying because you know that if the inmate get a grip on them,
yeah
they're
it's the
done
end of
for.
that yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all over. So
But great episode. There was something that you wanted to bring to the attention, something that was not maybe an Easter egg, but maybe a little bit of a wink at the original movie.
yeah,
Was
well, that scene of Kino speaking into that microphone, it kind of, I was like, I've seen that somewhere, and it took like half a second, and then I said, well, yeah, it's like Han speaking in the microphone, telling the other Imperial guards that everything is okay. We have
yeah
a gas leak, and so it's subtle, but it's a pretty nice wink to the original
yeah
trilogy. And the previous episode we saw after Bix was tortured, there was a door closing, and we saw some boots walking away, and it was very reminiscent of the when Princess Leia gets, that she's about to get tortured, and we see the door closing, and like a Death Star guard or officer walking away. So I like those kinds of little winks that they do to the original trilogy. That's pretty cool. So
yeah. But I mean, Easter eggs now I guess are running thin because I mean they keep going back to the same setting, like you know whether it be Luthen's antique
yeah, I
store
feel
and
that
whatever.
Luton is gonna run out of business pretty soon because he always has the same artifacts in his shop. So
They're not selling
yeah, yeah, he's not selling much.
because
So
he doesn't know you, man. If you'd be all over it, you'd be buying all that stuff. Well, mind you have
for
your own
sure,
versions over there, right?
I,
So
I'd be there every week, or I would buy his business. So you
yeah.
should retire. I'll take over from
You're
now
the new
on.
Luthen, man. You have people coming over to your place when you're ready to sell. So
Yeah, for sure. And my dad was at the grocery store today, and he was speaking with somebody with an employee over there, and he asked my father, "Would I be able to visit your son's collection and his Star Wars room?" So when he came back, he told me, "Yeah, there's a guy. He gave me his number. You should call him. He really wants to visit your Star Wars room because I've told him so much about
yeah,
you and everything." So you know,
it's quite a size. Definitely something. I mean, you can't even really see everything that's in there from where we're looking at here, but like it's quite a sight, and there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I was lucky enough to get to see it, and even my kid was lucky enough to go and see it himself. So, but
Well, soon I'll be able to charge a cover fee,
yeah,
so
exactly. Why not?
just to fight into the new pieces.
Yeah, like and subscribe, and you can come and visit. So
Yeah, it's gonna be like an obligatory mandate. Have you subscribed? Yeah. Did you hit the notification bell? Okay, you can come in.
show me on your phone, prove it.
Yeah.
So before we run out of time here, we wanted to just talk briefly about have a little bit of a review, not a breakdown of the film that was done. May the fan be with you. And this was a documentary that was filmed over a very long period of time and development and I was happy to see it finally release, and it wasn't what I thought. I mean, I was expecting. I knew who was going to be in the cast. I knew we were going to be following three groups, or I guess four people in general.
Hmm.
It was a film made by Marc Joly Corcoran, so he's the basically the director and the creator of this documentary, and it's just I guess if we take it from the start, it's like these are three people. One is a business owner, store, restaurant owner. One of them is a social media couple. We very well known in the Quebec area for everything that they do in terms of this Star Wars community. And then we follow one which ends up being, I guess, I don't want to say ends up being the star, but definitely one of the focal points here is and it's someone who's in the 501st Legion and about to be elected to be the commanding officer, and which is again for the 501st is basically like the boss of the
Hmm.
and this, again, it's a non-profit charity group that has members across the globe, but then for he was going to be the commanding officer for um, the Quebec area. So basically, we follow his journey into that. And then the show. I mean, the movie emphasizes on collection and cosplay. So many aspects of being a fan of Star Wars. I don't know if you want to add anything, Dom, or
Well, I think it features, the good and the bad. How toxic maybe it can be, but how great it is as well. It's not a, a single point of view. You get to see both sides of the medal, and sometimes there's like an old saying that says, "Be careful what you wish for."
yeah,
I guess, and it's obvious that at the beginning, our friend here, Christian, he he wants to become the CEO of the 501st, and he's so enthusiastic and everything. And then when he gets up, getting elected, because it's the only title that has the election for in the 501st Legion. He slowly realizes how much responsibility and how much work it is, and how people can argue for little details, and you know so it takes a bit off his experience. And I don't want to get into spoilers and everything, but
yeah. It's
you see
definitely
that
much tougher. Like
it
you
makes
said, I
it
mean,
cool.
as a member myself, I mean, I've seen different aspects, and no one's getting paid for this for what we do in the 501st. So
Mhm.
the responsibility at times, the stress, managing people in general, and is managing many different personalities as well, right? And that can be tough
Yeah.
and difficult for anyone. And I guess sometimes it's something that maybe you're not prepared, and everyone's in it for different reasons. I think at some point, I've had discussions myself with people that would say, either they're doing it for, because they always wanted to be a stormtrooper, or whether it's just to be a, in a costume, or or whether you do it really for the charitable aspect of it, which is, for the kids and all that stuff. So again, you're managing many different people, and depending, how much you put into it, it could be taxing. They talk about stormtrooper, or trooper burnouts, kind of,
Yeah,
like when you just go to too many of them,
I've
and
heard
at
that. Yeah,
first you're excited, you get into it, and it just runs you down after a while. Just like, okay, take a break. I mean, it's difficult to go and visit the kids as well, at the
yeah, at
hospitals,
hospitals. Yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely, you get to see, from beginning to end, of exactly how it can change and how it can maybe suck the life out of you a little bit. But again, not to get too much into it. A lot of it goes into the collecting as well, which is super interesting. We get to see um, Steve go all the way to the celebration, meet some people and collect some pieces, and see his man cave, which you've been in.
yeah,
It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, I don't think. I mean, we see here. I think he's building a house at that time as well, and so I mean, it's something I'd like to visit one day. But there was one
yeah.
line.
I'm one of the few lucky guy who had to the opportunity to visit, Steve's bunker. Uh, and we've all seen like the eventual Obi-Wan videos, like where everything, this collection is so incredible. But just to make things in perspective, uh, Steve is the our own Rancho
Yeah,
Obi-Wan. His house is not open to the public.
yeah,
Obviously he doesn't have an official museum, but it could very well be at some point a museum, because his Star Wars collection is so incredible, and the guy is so busy. He was able to set up his action figure section completely, and the guy has practically 20,000 action figures. So that's pretty insane. But he has an entire other section where he has his statues, his busts, and his master replica lightsaber and blasters. That he doesn't have the time to finish his setup. Every time I talk to him, I was like, "Well, how are the things going? I'm not even
yeah. And
Nothing has changed since August 2021." So
I'm sure what we see in this documentary is just a small portion of
it's
what
the
he
tip
has,
of the
right? So
iceberg. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's the tip of the iceberg. So
But there was a line in this one that, especially when it came to the collecting, and in general, just the Star Wars lore, is like, when Malgus says, like, how is it that people um, around me are just, they're all growing up? He goes, but I'm still a kid, so it's like he's questioning, and it's when I
yeah,
heard that line, I was watching it with someone, and they kind of nudged me, as in, like, geez, like, talk about something that resonates with you, like, and I think we've all thought that. And you see, like, people, like, have jobs, and they're into cars or whatever, and you're just like, man, why am I so stuck on this Star Wars, and toys
yeah.
and collecting, like, like, and you question yourself, is there something wrong with me, like, or is it like, why is it
It,
everyone can move on? And then he
it's
follows
easy
it.
to relate,
Yeah,
for
and
us.
he kind of, I think he follows it up something, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of, like, like, you also look at these people, and I mean, you see how much joy, and you stay young, and it keeps you young, but like, and these people that move on, it's like you almost feel sorry for them, right? Like, that they don't have that
Yeah,
in their lives. But I mean, all in all, this documentary was, for me, it touched me in many different aspects. I mean, whether it be from the collecting aspect, I'm sure that you must have related even more,
hmm
and the 501st Legion. I thought, unfortunately, it showed how tough it could be. It briefly touched on the charitable part, and how much joy it brings, but you could see, like, whether, be the kids or the parents, as just as much when you're visiting them, Steve talks about, we didn't have this uh, growing up, stormtroopers all over the place and stuff like this. Something that,
True.
the kids can definitely benefit from, and it's keeping Star Wars alive. So I mean, I thought it was an absolutely great documentary. I mean, I'm gonna rewatch it when it's available. If anyone does want to watch it, though, right now you have, I think, another couple days. It's on the Yellowknife International Film Festival. We'll try to put the link.
In the description, maybe
Yeah, and
after the
and
stream. Yeah.
so you can go online and you can click and stream it. It's a film festival, but it's a virtual one.
You need to buy a ticket, virtual ticket, but
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not that expensive.
No, 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 and it's
So
well worth it. I mean, if you're interested, I mean, obviously it's in French, but it's translated, I believe so.
subtitle, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
subtitled.
subtitled.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. So, and to finish off, I
And
mean,
that's the high point of the documentary.
yeah,
Obviously, uh, Steve and Christian were able to travel to Tunisia in early March 2020
right
or late
before,
February. Yeah,
yeah,
if I was about to say, if you do the math, it's like days. When they came
yeah,
back, all the
before the
airports
shutdown,
were closing, right behind them. So
yeah,
they were barely able to travel back
but
the province of Quebec. But seeing them get there, and they brought their TK
yeah,
uniforms, but they also brought their toys. Steve brought the sandcrawler he received when he was a kid. That was one of his last present he received from his parents when he was a young kid, and uh, he took it there, and they took pictures, like they were literally lying on the sand and trying to make shots with the Lars Olmsted in perspective.
you don't see any of
And
this in the movie. This is just like a side story, I guess. That
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's we I got the opportunity to hear, but there's even a shot where they're dining at the table uh, where Luke and Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru
yeah.
had their meal. And it was pretty magical, and I think they were supposed to visit only 3 sites, but they ended up traveling to 7 sites.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's. Won't get into too many details, but this is. It's quite the scene to watch, especially the way it all wraps up and it ends. And there's a lot of emotion, especially from
From
Steve. I
Steve,
find
yeah.
throughout the movie, whether we're talking about family and his origins, and it's just an incredible story to watch. So again, if you have a chance to watch it, I mean, I think it's going to come out sometime in the future, hopefully on a digital release for this a bit more, I
Or
guess,
maybe a stream on a streaming service like
yeah.
Netflix, or
So I know
it would
this,
be great.
whoever provided and helped fund the project, and they're gonna be entitled to digital copies. So if you know anyone at that point, whenever it's made available, watch it with them. Or but
Hmm.
if not, again, if you want to watch it now, you have a couple days and you can go watch it on the Yellowknife International Film Festival, and you can stream it while it's available. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add, Dom, before we go. If you what's on
Well,
the menu for this Friday?
that's what I was about to say. So tomorrow's review will be about the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited edition box set, in which we have 3 Obi-Wan Kenobi Legacy lightsabers. That box set was sold at the D23 convention last September. I was able to get my hands on one of the 3,000 copies. I had a whole lot of trouble getting my hands on one of
Yeah,
them.
you're gonna tell the story about that in your review, or
I'm not sure I'm going to get into that much of the details, but Basically,
We could keep it for the next episode if you want to get into a bit more details. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, basically, like, I had it the Friday, the Saturday I didn't have it, the Sunday I had it, the Wednesday I didn't have it, and then the following Friday I had it for sure. So
yeah,
I went through a whole roller coaster of emotion
yeah. Let's get
to
into
get
that
it.
the episode. Let's save some time for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save the little tidbits
Okay.
for next week's episode. But it's a pretty epic box set. Three lightsabers in one. I'm always trying to keep my legacy lightsaber complete, my collection complete. So as of now, I can officially say that I have all legacy lightsabers that were released since Galaxy's Edge opened in 2019. So this means that I have presently in this room 42 lightsabers.
Only.
So that's yeah, that's a lot. I have a
You have a problem.
yeah, I have a problem, and I'm waiting for a box set, a Battle of the Heroes box set that they released only online about a week and a half ago, and we're expecting it to be released at the parks on Live Day, which is in a week from now, so November 17. But I received a confirmation from my East Coast smuggler that she was able to get two copies of the two pieces of those box set, and one of them is about to embark on a journey from Florida to Montreal. So perhaps next week I'll be able to show it to you guys, or maybe for the Andor finale. But in on December 19th, they will also release the Qui-Gon Jinn Legacy lightsaber and the Count Dooku lightsaber, the blue bladed one that was shown on the Tales of the Jedi, uh, mini series or shorts. I guess we can call them
Yeah.
that. Uh, so pretty soon I'll have 46 lightsabers in my collection. So as I told my East Coast smuggler, I just hope we're gonna get a break for at least a couple months before we get new releases, because especially the limited edition box sets. I mean, they start at 375, and then that's US dollars, and then I gotta pay a fee for my smuggler, and then there's a shipping fee, and then there's custom fees,
Well,
and
in
then
January you're gonna get another one, maybe, right? So
yeah, yeah. Since you're going, there's
yeah,
a new Savvy's Workshop scrap metal pieces that are coming out. So I'm like, okay, I might find myself in the same situation as Christian or Malgus, our friend in the documentary. I have to take a step back and
yeah,
make sure that I replenish my bank account, because I swear to God, it's tough. If only my channel could provide for the objects I'm reviewing.
if only had 52 more subscribers, and so
Well, that's 52 is the beginning, because
yeah,
some people think that you suddenly get rich when you get 1,000 subscribers, but you start making a few bucks.
yeah. Well,
It's baby
everything
steps.
bits and every
So
little tidbit helps, and
yeah,
you're gonna put it back into the show, and you know,
for sure. It's the viewers are gonna reap
the
the
rewards.
benefits.
Yeah,
Yeah, the rewards from that as well. So the more I have some pieces to review, the more I'll be able to showcase some cool reviews. So
yeah.
it's a wheel.
All right. Well, on that note, Let's close it. We're going a little bit over, but it's
All right.
been. I'm very curious to see where it's gonna head next week as I start the 2 episode finale, I guess.
Yeah,
So
the beginning of the end, I guess,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'm very curious.
So I'm expecting maybe, they said that they want to hang, what's his name, Pack.
Yeah,
The imperial officer. He wants to hang him. So I think that that event will start a riot in the streets of Ferrix, and we'll get to see the last few images that we saw in the trailer,
yeah.
uh, where the streets are buzzing a lot.
I
So
have Dedra and Cyril hook up maybe. So
who knows? We saw her escorted by death troopers
yeah.
in the trailer, so things are about to get pretty exciting, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Well,
much for the viewers. Dom, do you want to closing statements?
thanks to everybody who wrote something in the chat. Relevant Studio, Maxime Fortin de Mers, James Smart. You guys are the best, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week, and maybe some more comments in the chat as well. So uh, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.